They say a father's love shapes a child's destiny. But what happens when that love is tangled in addiction, fame, pain, and forgiveness? Ronald Fenty, the father of global superstar Rihanna, was a man of many contradictions. His story is one of love and loss, personal demons, public feuds, and ultimately a complex legacy that shaped one of the greatest entertainers of our time. Welcome to the story of Ronald Fenty, a man who was as famous for the daughter he raised as for the battles he fought within himself. If you're new here, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives behind the headlines. Now let's get into the emotional, raw, and unforgettable story of Ronald Fenty. Final moments. On the morning of June 1st, 2025, Ronald Fenty passed away in a Los Angeles hospital at the age of 70. The cause of death wasn't immediately disclosed, though it followed a brief illness. By his side were his daughter Rihanna and her brother Rajad, spending quiet, tender moments with him at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. News of his passing quickly spread, with Barbados mourning deeply. Starcom Network News confirmed the loss that touched fans worldwide. Fenty's final days were solemn yet meaningful, spent with family, wrapped in forgiveness and love. For a man who had lived much of his life in the shadow of personal struggles and his daughter's fame, his last chapter was marked by peace. No longer just Rihanna's father, Ronald Fenty had become a symbol of reconciliation and a reminder that even the most fractured bonds can find healing in the end. A humble beginning in Barbados. Born and raised in Barbados, Ronald Fenty lived a relatively quiet life before the spotlight found him through his daughter. He married Monica Braithwaite, a former accountant, and together they had 3 children: Robin Rihanna Fenty, born in 1988, Rory, and Rajad. Fenty also had 3 children from previous relationships: Samantha, Candy, and Jamie, making him a father of 6. For years, the Fenty family resided in Bridgetown, Barbados. They lived modestly, with Ronald working as a warehouse supervisor. But behind the scenes, the family was struggling. Fenty's battle with alcohol and crack addiction created a toxic home environment that would have a lasting effect on his children, especially Rihanna. A turbulent marriage and divorce. Rihanna's early years were marred by domestic violence. Her parents' marriage was turbulent, often erupting into physical altercations. Rihanna has openly spoken about the trauma of watching her father abuse her mother, Monica. In a 2012 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Rihanna shared, "He taught me everything, and as awful as he was to my mum at times, it didn't compare to how great he was as a father. I had to come to terms with that." Ronald and Monica eventually divorced in 2002, when Rihanna was just 14. The divorce created a rift in the family, but also a turning point. Rihanna channeled her pain into ambition. At 16, she left Barbados to pursue music in the United States. The rest, as they say, is history. Watching from afar, Rihanna's rise to stardom. As Rihanna skyrocketed to fame with hits like Pon de Replay, Umbrella, and Diamonds, Ronald Fenty found himself watching from the sidelines. Despite their strained relationship, he remained proud of her achievements. But as Rihanna's star rose, so did the complications in their relationship. Fame brought new pressures. In 2009, following Rihanna's infamous assault by Chris Brown, Ronald spoke publicly to the press without her permission. This deeply hurt Rihanna, especially considering her father's own history of domestic abuse. "You grow up with your father. You know him, and then he does something so bizarre that I can't begin to wrap my mind around it," she said in an interview. Their relationship would go through multiple ups and downs over the years, the lawsuit that rocked their bond. In 2019, Rihanna made headlines again, not for her music, but for suing her own father. Ronald had started a talent and production company called Fenty Entertainment in 2017. Rihanna accused him of exploiting her brand name and falsely claiming to be her representative to solicit business deals, including a $15 million tour. It was a heartbreaking moment that laid bare the deep mistrust between father and daughter. The case was set to go to trial in 2021, but Rihanna eventually filed to dismiss it just weeks before court proceedings began. While the case never saw the inside of a courtroom, it revealed how fractured their relationship had become, a father's struggles and a daughter's compassion. Despite all the drama, Rihanna never stopped trying to help her father. When his addiction worsened, she reportedly enrolled him in a high-end Malibu rehab facility. Sadly, Ronald's battle with addiction was long and painful. He was thrown out of at least one event due to excessive drinking. In his own words, he admitted, "I feel bad because I let her down. She spent all that money putting me in rehab and then found me drunk somewhere. It's not good. What can I say? But I'm sorry." Even with all the disappointment, there were moments of reconciliation. Rihanna never stopped caring, and Ronald never stopped loving his daughter. A bond rekindled. By the time Ronald fell ill in 2025, the relationship had softened. He was no longer just Rihanna's estranged father. He was a man who had fought his demons and found peace in forgiveness. In late May 2025, Ronald was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. His health had rapidly declined. Rihanna and her brother Rajad were seen visiting the hospital on May 28th, spending time with him during what would become his final days. Just days later, on Saturday morning, June 1st, 2025, Ronald Fenty passed away at the age of 70 after a short illness. The news was confirmed by Starcom Network News in Barbados. A complicated legacy. Ronald Fenty was far from perfect. He struggled with addiction, made public mistakes, and hurt those closest to him. Yet he also showed the power of redemption and the resilience of family bonds. He was a proud father who loved his children deeply, even if he didn't always know how to show it. And through all the scandals, lawsuits, and broken promises, Ronald remained a key figure in Rihanna's life. As Rihanna mourns her father, the world is reminded that behind every superstar is a story of sacrifice, struggle, and family. Ronald Fenty's life was messy, painful, and at times shameful, but it was also filled with moments of love, laughter, and healing. His death marks the end of a complicated chapter in Rihanna's life, but also a beginning, a moment to reflect on how far they came, together and apart. Ronald Fenty's story is a reminder that people are not just the worst things they've done. He was an addict, yes, a flawed husband and father, but also a man who tried, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, to be there for his daughter. He leaves behind a legacy defined not just by pain, but by resilience and forgiveness. His story is also Rihanna's story. One cannot be told without the other. Rest in peace, Ronald Fenty. And if this story touched you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories that go beyond the headlines.